Hi, my name is Jerry MacArthur, founder of the Hydroflyer. Today we're going to talk about the Cruiser and the Sportboard. How are they different? What's the same? What's the positives and negatives of each? And a couple things that might surprise you. Both the Cruiser and the Sportboard are full carbon fiber builds with a lightweight, super strong monocoque frame. There are, however, quite a few differences between them. We'll start with the Cruiser. At just over 7 feet, some of the unique features of the Cruiser are its V-nose and extra stability when starting off. The Sportboard is around 5 feet, so features less swing weight and more agile. Now, a lot of people think that the Sportboard is the high-performance board and the Cruiser is just for beginners, but there's a bunch of differences between them for different use cases. For instance, last week I was testing props and doing top speed runs. For this, I choose the Cruiser because it has that beautiful V-nose and it makes coming off a foil at high speeds much safer and easier. It pierces the water beautifully, you can bounce back up without ever having to worry about crashing. The Sportboard, on the other hand, has a shorter nose, which means you can see straight down at the water. The lower swing weight allows for tighter, faster turns, and it makes jumping and other things like that feel more agile. If you're looking for a board that everyone can get on and learn to foil right away, the Cruiser is definitely the one for you. Just because it makes coming on and off a foil much easier with that nose. And the more stable platform means it's more stable when you're sitting there floating in the water prior to getting going. If you're looking for a board for a rental center, the Cruiser is definitely the one for you. The Sportboard, on the other hand, needs to be ridden a little bit more aggressively to keep that nose out of the water. The reward, however, is faster turns and more agility. The idea behind the Sportboard was to make something for the extreme crowds. It features an option to add foot hooks to it. So if you want to jump off waves and get upside down and really push the limits, the Sportboard's the one for you. That's not to say you can't jump with the Cruiser. You totally can. It makes for super easy landings. And one of my favorite things with the Cruiser is to jump, dive the nose under the water, submarine the whole board out, and pop back out and keep going. This is a much more difficult task on the Sportboard, where you have to keep that nose up a little bit to avoid it grabbing and crashing. Another benefit of the Cruiser is if you're doing long offshore sessions in big waves, the pointed bow is really beautiful at piercing through the waves. When I first started designing foils, I thought the board didn't matter because it's up above the water anyways. But with touchdowns, maybe a breaking wave that you have to cut through, that pointed nose really makes a big difference. The Sportboard, on the other hand, because it's shorter, you can turn on those waves easier and maybe get a turn in between short swell period. When you're picking a foil for your board, we usually recommend a 190 for the Cruiser. It's a bigger, stable foil. With the Sportboard, you might want to go with something like a 170, smaller and more agile and better suited to that board. A big difference when picking a board is rider weight. Anyone above around 220 pounds will definitely want to pick the Cruiser. It also has the option to add the inflatable ring to it, which means you can get to riders up to 300 pounds on the Cruiser going. With the Sportboard, a rider that big is going to have a lot of trouble starting because the board's going to want to sink and it's going to be really unstable until you get going. In the end, there's positives to both boards, and it'll depend on what you want for which board you choose. The Sportboard's going to be a little harder to learn on, but it's going to be very rewarding if you put the time in. The Cruiser is going to make the learning experience really easy and allow you to share the love of foiling with everyone else around you. Whatever board you choose, it's going to give you access to a totally new sport, and there's so much room to push the boundaries. I've spent thousands of hours on both of these boards and still enjoy taking either the Cruiser or the Sportboard out every day. I had my 75-year-old dad on it last week, and I take my kids on it. So there's room for everyone in this sport. You could be one of the people pushing this sport, learning new tricks, exploring new areas, and we'd love to have you on board. Remember to subscribe for future videos. Let us know any questions you want answered in the comments below, and feel free to reach out with any other questions you have.